Samsung just can't stop making products. For the world's largest handset vendor, maybe that's not a surprise, but a big part of yesterday's London event was also tablets, and we'll cover those. We've also got a ton of reviews from Nokia, BlackBerry, and, of course, Samsung to talk over, and a pretty concrete-looking leak of the iPhone 5S. All that, plus some delightfully unscheduled segues into the weeds, and a thought thread from our very own Brandon Miniman on episode 049 of the Pocketnow Weekly, the once-a-week podcast from Pocketnow, where we discuss smartphones, tablets, and the state of mobile technology in 2013. I'm your host, Michael Fisher, editorial director at Pocketnow, and today I'm joined by editor-in-chief Brandon Drum Solo Miniman. Good morning to you.
May I do a drum solo to start us off?
No, you can underscore Taylor's introduction if you like. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, when Taylor comes on, tell me when he's going to say something.
And senior editor Taylor the Hater Martin. Good morning to you.
Hello, Governor.
What?
Good morning, both of you gentlemen. Yeah, this marks an historic point in history. First time Taylor using a new dialect. First time Brandon not asking if he has made his father proud.
One second. Can we all do our best? Hello, Governor. Please?
No.
Yes.
No. I will not.
Hello, Governor.
All right. Is that your best? Is that your
Yes.
No.
Right.
Yes.
Let me do mine. It might max out the mic. Hello, Governor.
Oh dear God! I can just watch the listener count just plummeting into the basement.
That sounded like a grandma.
Yeah.
That's my grandma voice.
Was it? Okay. That makes more sense.
Michael, I really think you should participate in this.
Do you? Yeah, no, it's funny. Isn't it funny how like thoughts can diverge and differ and stuff? Maybe I'll do what I did on the Pocketnow Live, and I'll just keep telling you no until the end of the season, and then I'll do it on the last episode of the season, just like the
Do it
Iron
now.
Man thing. Before
You are now officially Buzz Killington of this podcast.
Who wants to hear a good story about a bridge? Let's go. Let's talk. Let's kick it off the thought thread here, and because we have a lot to talk about in the way of Samsung news. Because God, they had a lot of stuff to come out yesterday, and Anton Dinoj has died of exhaustion somewhere on the Thames, unfortunately. So
No.
God, he did a lot of videos yesterday. I want to jump to him. I want to cover him, but first I want to hear what Brandon is thinking for his thought thread.
It's interesting because in the smartphone industry, we've had all sorts of conversations over the years. We've had conversations about specs and CPU speed and amount of RAM. We've had conversations about screen resolution and how high it really needs to be and what is really good and screen types and varieties. We've had conversations about hardware, about metal versus plastic versus soft touch, thin versus thick. But there's really a conversation that we're just starting to have now, and I think it's very exciting. And it is because we've had all those conversations, and we're at a point where screen resolution is good, hardware design is good,
Material stuff.
Materials, yes. Materials and design quality is just good. And the conversation we are having now, and I think Apple started the conversation, is UI design, where we're starting to talk about color palettes and sizes of icons and flat designs and rounded edges versus squared off edges. And what I think is going to happen is next year is going to be the year of UI design, and I think Samsung's going to kill TouchWiz next year, and they're probably working on something feverishly now that is as innovative to UI design as the Galaxy S3 was to Android devices, and I think HTC is going to be further modifying Sense. And this is so exciting because we've got these devices that are so capable and powerful, and they're good in every other way. They're very well-rounded. But the UIs are kind of the same that they've been since the beginning. They're about the same. And I think that also Key Lime Pie, the next version of Android, is also going to be a part of this conversation because it's been a while since Android really has changed.
It has, and I think we're starting to hear rumors of some fundamental underpinnings of Android changing in Key Lime Pie as well, which will dictate further evolution of the UI. Of course, Android's user experience is headed by the UI guy, Matias Duarte, and I wouldn't be surprised at all to see some, not necessarily massive changes, but definitely some further refinements to that platform. I would be very pleased if 2014 was the year of the UI. I think it's overdue. I think a lot of software designers are resting on their laurels, and I don't think it's time for that. I don't think anything is quite good enough to be sat on yet and kind of, codified and locked in.
I really hope it is the year that we see some contextual changes in UI development. What some people are calling undesign. I posted an article about this, or not an article. It was a post. I shared something on Google Plus about it, but it was looking at the changes of Android side by side from version 1 to the most recent version, and the biggest changes are that things are being taken out. So all these graphical elements that have been put into the operating system, like gradients and all these useless things, have been taken out, and it's flat. It's basic, and they're going back to basics. But now it's a point where we can go back to, or not go back, progress forward, because people understand how touchscreens work. When smartphones first came out, they were kind of new to this thing, and they didn't know how to navigate, how to do certain things on a touchscreen. And now we've been trained over the course of 5 or 6 years to long press if we want to see more. Long press, to swipe with 2 fingers,
right? To
swipe up, to swipe down, to swipe from the edge of the screen,
and that gives the designers a lot more flexibility. As a basic example, just because I have the Apple website up here, the iOS 6 and below, when you go into Safari, that bar on the bottom with back, forward, bookmarks, and tabs is persistent. But in iOS 7, they're hiding it, which if they did that 3 or 4 years ago, people would be like, holy crap, where's the bookmark? Where's all this stuff? But now people
go back.
Yeah, people kind of have figured it out.
Yeah, people are catching up to advanced UI concepts. Like, people are, I think, more apt today to be able to slide panes back and forth, to be like, if there's no back button, well, what if I just tap and drag? Oh, look, I can move the screen over. Oh, okay, I don't need a button. Yeah, I think people are getting caught up to smarter UI, and that's a good thing, because now we don't have to deal with UI that's as boring.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as impeding as current ones are.
Right.
Like, my biggest problem with BlackBerry 10 so far, I mean, this is the first time I've used it.
Both Taylor Martin and I have BlackBerry Q10s in hand, by the way.
Yeah.
That's why they sound so morose.
I'm so glum today.
It's not true.
There's
I love
so
that.
much. It is not true. There's so much. Is it dystopia that I'm looking for in the operating system? Is that the word I'm looking for? Dystopia?
Dissociation, I think.
No, that's not the right word. It's inconsistency.
Well, I just want to say
disjointedness.
It's like
it's like
2
poopiness.
completely different people designed it.
Yeah,
and sometimes you'll get a back button on the screen. Sometimes you swipe.
Yes.
Why not just make everything swipe backwards?
Yeah, there is a lot of inconsistency in there. Actually, I want to say that I am going to be talking to I believe the VP of user experience at BlackBerry next week. And I it's not going to be this like hard hitting thing where it's like, why isn't this consistent? But I'm very interested in finding out how some of these cues came to be, and also what elements, like what they're going to continue to do with the Astonishing Tribe people. Because remember, BlackBerry assimilated the Astonishing Tribe, and you can see that in like the compass and the clock apps. Those are just so gorgeous on BlackBerry 10.
The Astonishing Tribe is awesome.
They're awesome, but it seems like that was squandered. I mean, besides the clock app, which no one really cares about, what else has been brought forth from this company?
And that's going to be one of my questions. I want to see what other elements actually came from the Astonishing Tribe. But you got to remember, there was a lot of brain drain as well when BlackBerry acquired the Astonishing Tribe. They lost some pretty pivotal people there who kind of left after the acquisition. So.
Also,
go ahead.
To counter your point about screens kind of hitting their peak, Brandon, phone screens, that is, I was reading a piece that Stefan Constantinescu. Yes, I got it, Constantinescu.
Friend of the show, Stefan Constantinescu.
Yes, he was on here a couple weeks ago. He shared a piece on his site that said that in 2014 we can expect to surpass the 500 ppi point with WQXGA displays. That's 2560 by 1600. That's the resolution you have on the Nexus 10. Squeezed down into a 5-inch phone, 6-inch phone.
No.
Why?
I don't know.
I mean,
But-
I think 2015 will have 4K displays, and that's like in the 700 PPI, I think. But that's an interesting step in between. I don't really get it. I mean,
I get it for phones like the Galaxy Mega or this rumored 6-inch phone, but what are the odds that it'll also go down to smaller phones? It's
an interesting question. Yeah. Well, since we're talking about UI a little bit, we should talk about this event that happened yesterday where every device in the room basically ran the same UI. The UI that we're tired of.
And hardware looked the same. Everything.
Yeah,
Samsung
Brandon.
has mastered making computers look like smartphones.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I think you are fantastic at segues, and I just want to try you out on something. I want to do a segue from one topic to another, and I'm going to tell you what they are, and you have to think of a segue. So we're talking about a nice sushi restaurant in New York City, and you need to talk about the Galaxy S4 Zoom. So what would you say to segue from that to the...
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. I mean, wasabi is awesome, and it's one of my favorite things to eat. And when I get it right in that nose there, when you get a good snuff load of it, it's like zoom. You know what I mean? And which of course brings us to Samsung's bizarre device.
Nice.
I would have said something about zooming in to take a picture so I could Instagram my sushi in HD.
You know what?
But
and
hey,
Taylor, you know what that tells us? That
I hate Instagram?
That you are not ready to be a podcast host yet.
No, I'm a Segway crusher for a reason. I crush Segways for a reason.
Segway crusher. Let's talk about this friggin' Zoom, because this thing confuses the bejesus out of me. Now, we talked about this, a week ago? Whenever this thing... It was last week?
It was the 15th.
Yes. Whenever this thing leaked. I don't know. My brain is still hurting because of this.
It was
Zoom.
official last week.
Was it?
Yeah, they announced it last week.
Right. So at the premiere, this is what we should talk about. At the premiere event, the Samsung kind of split its focus between devices that we'd already seen and devices we hadn't. And most of the devices we'd already seen were Galaxy devices. And the Ativ line was the kind of surprise of the day, or Ativ or Ativ, depending on what region you're in.
Creative.
Yeah, creative, originative. Which I made. I didn't know that was a real word. Apparently, it's
innovative.
A real word. Yeah, innovative. Right. Yeah. Oh man, they are trying real hard with that. So Samsung's event itself, I think we can all agree, gents, was weird, right? As usual.
Do you think that they thought about these words before they came up with the brand Ativ or Ativ? And do you think they came up with these words, or one day somebody walked in the office and he was like, "Those letters are in creative and innovative."
Someone must have sneezed. Ativ.
Well, it's Vita backwards, right?
Oh,
So there's that weirdo element.
And everyone thinks about how words sound backwards, right?
Yeah.
Right, roll yacht?
Resif, yeah.
Well, I know my name backwards. Roll yacht Nitram. I don't know why I know it, but I do it.
Your name backwards is actually pretty awesome. You could be a Superman villain.
Yo, why is the Galaxy S4 Zoom called Galaxy S4? How does it have anything to do with the Galaxy S4?
How does the Galaxy S4 Mini have anything to do with it? I wrote an article.
You know what?
about
I
this.
feel like Taylor Martin wrote an article about this. Yeah,
I did.
About every 2 or 3 months, one of us has to write an article about how Samsung is just destroying the Galaxy brand.
Yeah, there is no resemblance. Nothing between these two phones, other than the fact that they had the same metal band around the outside, or plastic band around the outside,
and the same TouchWiz UI, like basically. So the Galaxy S4 Zoom, listeners, if you don't remember, is basically the modern incarnation of the Galaxy camera, except it's a phone. It's a Galaxy camera with a phone tacked on, and it looks like somebody took like a wet sander to the corners. Right? It's just a little more rounded. But there is one interesting thing about it. So it has this extendable lens with, 20 times optical zoom, 10 times optical zoom?
10.
Okay, it's 10 times optical zoom. Anton got a sweet hands-on with it. He did a cool cross-table optical zoom and took a picture of another Galaxy S4 Zoom, which was very meta. But the coolest part about it, I think, is this rotating ring. So you know how
that is cool.
Yeah, like on attachable camera lenses, you have this focus ring and you have the zoom ring. On the Galaxy S4 Zoom, the ring not only controls the zoom, but it also Samsung has built some kind of software interface for it so that there's a ring displayed on the screen, and you manipulate the UI elements on that ring with the ring in your hand. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah. Did you see that?
It's Brandon? A shortcut. Like it's a shortcut, hardware shortcut is what it is.
Yeah.
But what I don't get is, okay, so it extends the zoom, but how when you you spin it for shortcuts, how does it not extend the zoom? Is does the zoom only pop out when you have the camera app open?
Yeah, I think right. So the when the donut is on the screen, that's when you're using the ring to control the UI elements, and when you're just in viewfinder.
Anywhere.
Well, no, it's not, because that ring only shows up every so often. I wish Tony was on the air, but he's 6 hours ahead of us, and he was up all night shooting like 40 videos, so we can't ask him to be on the air. But anyway, I don't know. The zoom, it's so strange to me because they positioned it as like, I wrote a note to myself while I was watching the live stream. I was like, finally, maybe we get to find out who the zoom is targeted at. And not really.
Nobody.
Right. All we heard was
Nobody.
like, this is someone who cares a little bit more about camera quality and wants optical zoom and optical image stabilization. But they didn't even go so far as to try and justify the added size and weight. They were just like, this is just for somebody who cares a little more about a camera. I'm like, yeah, but it's huge.
You never responded to my message yesterday.
What'd you say?
Where is it? Oh, come on.
What, on Twitter?
Oh, no, I sent you a message.
Did you send me a BBM? Did you BBM me, bro?
No, in Talk. In Talk.
Oh, in Google Hangouts?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, it's Talk because we haven't upgraded our Google Apps account.
Well, what did you say, Taylor?
I'm pulling it up. I just quoted part of my Stop Calling Every New Phone a Galaxy S4 article. Or maybe you like taking pictures of faraway objects and simply walking closer is just too hard. And I scratched it out and I said, or maybe you prefer a great camera, a decent phone, and don't like carrying more than one device. But it's not really even a decent phone. It's a low-end to mid-range phone. So they're calling it a Galaxy S4, and its specifications are not top quality. But if you've paid attention to Samsung branding, the S after the brand, so Galaxy S, the Ativ S means flagship. S means top end, high specs,
or it's supposed to.
Top of the line.
Yeah. That's what
and then
it
they
used
go
to
and
mean.
brand the Galaxy S4 Mini, the Galaxy S.
Well, we're about to talk about
soon.
that, right? We're about to actually, we're going to hit the Mini in a second. I want to talk about the Active here because I think that's the closest thing. It gets the closest to the original Galaxy S4 of these devices that we saw yesterday.
Wait a sec.
Yes.
There was your sec. You wasted your sec.
Can we do a little bit of a tangent here and talk about something that I don't think we've ever talked about on the podcast, which is the Butterfly S?
What? Wait a minute.
Yeah.
How are you just going to launch that torpedo in my Samsung boat?
You told me that we could keep it,
Yeah, I know. All right. Yeah, sure. I mean, definitely.
So, talk about coffee, but hey.
What?
Yeah. You know what's going to happen? Brandon, it's going to hit 11:30. Brandon's going to leave, and Taylor, you and I are going to be stuck on topic 3. Go ahead, Brandon.
This Butterfly S, the original, the Droid DNA is based on the Butterfly, and it has a S4 Pro chip, which provides a little bit of lag, but it's got the 1080p screen, 5-inch, which is a nice size. It's got this nice big glass panel on the front, but this Butterfly S has the Qualcomm Snapdragon 600 at 1.9 gigahertz, which is the same chip that's in the Galaxy S4, and it has boom sound, and it looks really badass. I mean, this is going to be a cool phone. It's huge. It's very big.
It's also running Sense.
So, that's awesome.
I don't like Sense.
Yeah, if it's running new Sense, then I'm okay with it.
I can't tell. It does look like the new Sense. It looks like it has the clock widget from BlinkFeed on the lock screen.
Do you guys think this is coming to the U.S.?
No.
Doubt it.
Not anything with the Butterfly branding. I don't think that's coming to the U.S.
No.
Well, maybe
Not
the
unless
Droid
it comes
DNA
as-
2?
It might come as the DNA S or DNA 2 or
Right.
So that's
whatever.
an interesting question. I don't know if Verizon is going to want to preserve that DNA brand once they get the One in. I mean, Verizon, like Steven made a good point in one of his articles. He's like, Verizon tends to be very prima donna-esque, and, they like their exclusives and whatever. So it's possible they might want to keep that DNA brand afloat. That may be what they're doing with this new sort of droid resurgence. Have you noticed that some of they woke up their old droid brand on Twitter? It was like Droid Landing or something like that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know. I kind of don't know.
They're giving away phones again.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. It's getting a little bit late for them to do the HTC One, so it's maybe they've have a change of plan. They're going to do the DNA 2 to kind of differentiate a little bit.
It would be interesting.
I would honestly rather see this than the HTC One on Verizon. And I know that would make some people mad. because even me, in a sense, it would kind of upset me because I want to see the same phone launched worldwide on every carrier. But this is basically the one, but I like the DNA's design a little better.
You do?
Not necessarily the build quality, but the design. I like the colors and everything. The red, I like the black and red accent.
So nice. And I guess the only downside is that the back is shiny, slippery plastic, not soft touch.
It's not soft touch? No.
Well, that is weak nonsense.
That just ruined it. That completely ruined the phone for me.
Yeah, there's some speculation also that the HTC One Mini might be plastic in another piece here. I think
Stop with the mini
just speculation. Can we talk about the mini phone? Because I don't have anything to say about the Galaxy S4 Active other than I'm excited about it because it's rugged and waterproof. And second point, I'm getting one today. So
it has a TFT panel.
It does. Now, hold on a second. Now, somebody on Twitter told me, or in the comments, I don't remember, suggested that AMOLED actually also uses TFT technology. And TFT stands for thin film transistor, and it just means that every pixel has a dedicated transistor controlling it, I believe. So, is that true? Are the terms AMOLED and TFT exclusive, or are they not?
I don't know. I've always only heard TFT LCD.
Me too.
LCD.
Yep, I've never. I don't think
I've never heard of TFT AMOLED.
Yep.
It doesn't even roll off the tongue.
No.
Sounds disgusting.
TFT backplane technology is crucial in the fabrication of AMOLED displays. Okay. So, yeah, all right. The thing is, though, generally when we talk TFT versus AMOLED, we are talking LCD versus AMOLED. Anyway, the Galaxy S4 Active will be in my office today, I believe, in the afternoon, if UPS is to be believed, and I will have an unboxing, and I'm going to use it for a weekend. I'm going to get active with it, and that's going to be fun.
Are you going to go swimming?
I might go swimming. Tony has already thrown it in a tank of water, though, so that we've got that.
You guys didn't tell me that these waterproof phones cannot be operated when they're submerged in water.
You didn't know that?
Yeah. Capacitive display goes haywire underwater because water
it doesn't go haywire. It goes haywire at the water-air interface. So if half the screen is in water, half of it is not, it'll go nuts. But once it's underwater, it just doesn't do anything. It just sits.
Well, so
you can't use it because
you can't use it in the shower. Literally,
you can use it. You can. You just got to get it out of the water stream, brah.
Yeah, it can't be like fully submerged it'd be like touching the phone with 10 digits at the same time. Like the phone doesn't really know what to do.
Yeah, and so
because water conducts electricity, so it reads water as basically as input.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Although pure water doesn't really conduct electricity all that well.
Pure water. Who has pure water?
Yeah, very few people. But what was the thing I was going to say?
I bathe in distilled water.
Yeah, I generally I get I get demineralized water all the time in my bathtub. But no, here's the thing. This is further proof that physical hardware keys are great. In the case of the Galaxy S4 Active, it makes a lot of sense now that those are not capacitive keys at the bottom; they're physical, and also. A physical camera button. This makes a physical camera button much more crucial. The Kia Ceratoric, which I reviewed, has a physical camera button, and I was able to take some underwater pictures, and that was great.
Does the Active have a camera button? I don't think it does. It has, because when they were doing the demonstration, he said press the volume button to take a picture.
Right, and that's what I think that shortcut was built specifically for that, because the Galaxy S4, you can't shoot with the volume rocker, can you?
I don't think so, but you can root it. It's always the
whatever. Let's talk about
you can root it.
You can root it. Let's talk about the Galaxy S4 Mini, which I think which we've hated on 4 shows in a row. But then I saw Tony's hands on, and the thing looks cute, dudes. Does anybody like it? I think it looks cute. I like the hardware. I like the build.
I don't think it's mini enough. I mean, it's like the regular size phone of last year.
But have you watched Tony's video though?
Well, Tony's got hands the size of a giant.
No, so he starts with the S4 Mini in his hand, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And then he brings the S4 into the frame, and the S4 looks like a Note 2. That is small.
I'd like to put the S4 Mini beside the Mega just to see.
Oh, the Mega.
Because the Note 2 to me feels small now because I carried the Mega for a week. The Note 2 feels like an S4. It feels so small now.
You want to just... they weren't showing the Mega at this thing, probably because it wasn't a new product, but I was actually a little surprised that the Mega didn't factor into their lineup here, but I guess they were just keeping it to the S stuff.
It is the ugly duckling of their brand. Like it's what I said in my review. It's a beta test. It is a public beta test that you have to buy into. This is exactly what the Mega is.
Weak.
It is.
Well, I have your review kind of tacked in the rundown. I don't want to talk about it that long, but I know you had to send your review unit back. But
yeah, I decided not to keep it. I really wanted it.
You opted not to buy it.
Yeah.
Chicken.
I wanted it, and then I thought about a couple things. I like the size, and the lag really didn't bother me because really the only lag that I experienced was in the app drawer, which if I had used my own launcher, which I would have installed Action Launcher on it, it would have been fine. There would have probably been no lag whatsoever. But what really turned me away is one, no LTE, and I knew if I bought it, then a couple weeks down the road, there's probably going to be one for AT&T.
There is going to
LTE.
be one on it.
Exactly.
It's at the FCC.
Oh, yeah, is it really?
Yeah, there's one with LTE coming exclusively to AT&T. And trying to resell that. I only try to buy phones that I know that I can resell in a couple months because, I buy so many phones that I can't afford to just buy every phone and keep them all. So
do you think
resell them.
The resale value is going to crash on that thing?
It'll crash, and then nobody will buy it because nobody knows what it is.
Yeah.
They'll be like, "Is that a Note 2? No, it's a Mega. What's that?" Does it have the S Pen? No, it does not.
I like that every buyer of Taylor Martin smartphones is a Carolinian. That's awesome.
Yes, and they've got cowboy hats on.
What's that?
What's What's that? Shoot it!
Well, I wish you luck.
I'll just take that Pixie.
All right, slow down, folks. I have a question.
What's your question?
Well, when Taylor was talking about the Galaxy Mega 6.3 and potentially keeping it as a daily driver, I thought that it's possible that Taylor discovered something new, which is that there's a huge marginal benefit to be had from having a giant phone. And I kind of consider, Taylor, your change of heart to be a vote of confidence against that. But
I totally like the size.
But it sounds like it's just the LTE issue and the resale issue.
Yeah, I haven't had an LTE phone on AT&T in since the 1X. I'm ready for LTE again. I need LTE. Yes. Oh, I mean, I've had one review phone with LTE, and that was a Galaxy S4. No, two. Sorry.
Now you have the BlackBerry Q10 has LTE.
Okay, 3.
There you go.
Out of like 8 devices, I've been stuck with. There were 2 or 3 of them. There were like 2 or 3 of them with Edge.
Yeah,
stuck on Edge, and I had to review that.
It was ridiculous.
So I carried a second phone just so I could actually have data.
Swinging from the absolute basement and bottom of the barrel as far as specs to every spec you could possibly imagine. Are we ready to talk about our tablet dream device?
Yes.
Well, I know you are.
Oh.
I'm buying one.
You're buying one?
I'm buying one.
What are you, Daddy Warbucks over there? How much money you got? We're talking about the Samsung Ativ Q.
How much is it? They didn't announce the price.
Well, the comment thread on my fanboy post, somebody was saying that the Netherlands price has been fixed at €1,700. And then somebody else came in to back him up on that. Yeah, I know. The Ativ Q.
Yeah, things are always. It's not a direct translation. Like you can't say
right. No, because iPhones cost $1,000 elsewhere, and I know. We don't know what it's going to be stateside. We really don't. But the Ativ Q, listeners, is just this ridiculous thing. I love how they presented it. It's like the one thing in the presentation yesterday that they did right, where they were like, "Hey, check it out. We got this tablet." It's like, okay, what is it? Oh, it's a Windows tablet. Oh, wait, it also runs, in addition to Windows 8, Android. And also, it's a 13-inch screen. And also, that screen is very high resolution. And also, it has an S Pen. Oh, and also, it has a keyboard. Oh, and also, you can flip the screen around. Like, they just kept bringing stuff out. And it's like, my God, this thing has everything you could possibly want in a tablet.
That is the first thing that has ever made me want another Windows machine since I left Windows over 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Can you walk me through this desire to have a dual booting device.
Yeah, so it's this thing where, when you choose a platform, you sacrifice some. You come into it knowing that if you're getting a Windows phone, you're going to sacrifice Google integration. If you get a BlackBerry, you're going to sacrifice like a lot of everything. If you get an iOS device, you're not going to have a great multitasking thing. So having two OSs on the same device allows you the opportunity to give the best of both worlds, and usually you're confined to this environment where you're dual booting. You're like, okay, I'd like to go to Android now, and then you have to like turn it off and back on and select a different. But it's like, ugh. But this device lets you just do it with the swipe of a finger through some kind of emulation.
All right,
side by side.
Yeah.
Okay, so in actual use and in terms of practicality, give me a scenario when you would be thankful for this.
Anything that Windows 8 does that Android does better. Like, here's one that people jump down my throat for before I'm done with my point. Windows 8's Twitter client, okay? It's prettier than the Android one, but it's also, in my opinion, less... it doesn't work as well for me. So I would use the Android client, even though it would look awful on a 13-inch screen. And, yes, you can go into the browser on Windows, but I don't want to do that. I just want to use a touch-friendly thing. I don't want to swipe over there. So that's what I would do. I would pin the Android Twitter client to the Windows 8 desktop, or I would pin a better-looking Android Twitter client to the Windows 8 desktop.
Where I would really enjoy this is having all my computer functions on Windows and then having dedicated apps for things.
Yeah.
Dedicated Google Plus, dedicated YouTube, dedicated Google Play Movies.
Yeah, I'd have a whole
Music.
Google section of Google apps, of Android apps sitting on my Windows 8 start screen. That's what I've wanted for a long time.
The performance looked not so good in the Android environment, right?
No, it looked fine. When did it not look good?
My lag meter went to about a 7.2, and I...
What do you mean? When Tony was playing with it, or in the demo?
I haven't seen Tony's yet, but some of the other demos I've seen, it was...
Yeah, we should make this clear. We didn't mention that the Android build that is running on at least the versions they have in London right now is a stock Android build of 4.2.2. There's no TouchWiz. There's no anything going on.
They need to leave it that way.
Yeah, but they also need to make the S Pen work. And they need some customization because they have a digitizer in there as well. With the same 1,000+ levels of sensitivity too. So I don't know. I think they have to do something.
I've started noticing S Pen support for third-party apps. Like I use,
really?
I use Photoshop Touch a lot. Mm-hmm. I love that app. It's so awesome. People always ask me, how do you blur out things in your image? And I'll take a picture and I'll just show what I want and blur everything else out beyond recognition. So I get some pretty cool effects using it. And I was using it the other day to trace my the loop that I was making in my car. I was taking some back roads, and I was taking some very curvy back roads and driving my car around. And I got home, and I'm like, I want to share, where I drove. And I was tracing, and when I did, it said S Pen, or not S Pen, but stylus support. If you don't have a stylus, I don't think that comes up. But it follows your S Pen around. It turns on like the
AirView.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it turns on AirView when you're going to draw.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
They were demoing that in Berlin at IFA when they were talking about the Note 10.1, and they were like, hey, you want to get your picture taken on this moped? And I'm like, sure I do. And then they kind of used an S Pen to cut out my stuff. But this thing is cool. So it's big. It's heavy. It's 1.3 kilograms or something.
Do we know how much it's going to cost?
No.
No.
We just went over that.
We just talked. Where were you?
And I'm watching Tony's video right now, and it doesn't seem laggy.
That's I am watching Tony's videos. That's where I've been because I want to see if there's any lag in his demonstration. But
I'm not really seeing any.
No, it's pretty fluid in his demo.
It shouldn't have any. It's got a Haswell processor.
I would love this thing. I would love this thing in a 7-inch form factor.
So, okay, dude, I would love this thing in a 5-inch form factor for the handheld. But and now, as I said yesterday,
what is this, like 2004 and the HTC Shift?
It's the HTC. Yeah, it's the Tilt 1.
No, the Shift, the Windows PC that was pocket sized.
Yeah, I don't care about that. But here's my thing.
Adam Lane will punch you in the throat.
I was gonna make Adam. So Adam Lane also BT
Lane?
Dubs. Yeah, it's Lane. Adam Lane also.
Line.
Adam Lane
It's Lane.
was at an event yesterday as well. He was at a New York City PepCom event, and he got some hands-on time with the Ativ Tab 3, which I don't care about and don't want to talk about. But here's a point that, listen, it's a thin Windows 8 tablet. Hooray.
It ruins Windows RT.
What do you mean? Oh.
It runs Windows 8 Pro.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, when they announced it on stage yesterday, it was fun. They just completely eviscerated Windows RT in front of everybody. Samsung was just like, it runs the full version of Windows 8, not RT. Windows 8.
And it's the size of an Android tablet.
Yeah. So that's impressive. I don't mean to sell it short, but I forgot to mention one thing about the Ativ Q, possibly the most epic tablet ever constructed. Somebody was bringing up a point in the comments on one of these pieces where it's like, why is this any different than the Asus Playbook Trio? And then I admittedly had to go look that up because I wasn't like in the office for the Asus release, so I don't know about any of that stuff. I was like, oh, okay. It's the same basic thing except in a transformer form factor. It is a detachable screen and keyboard, and it runs Android and Windows 8 side by side. So why am I more impressed with the Ativ Q? And I want to hear y'all's answer, but for me, it's the fact that it's coming from Samsung. It has the S Pen support. It is an integrated product that is not separable, so I don't feel like I'm detaching an accessory. It's all blended together as one product that I can carry around. That's what makes it more exciting to me. But what do you guys think?
I can't find it. What's the name of this thing again?
The Asus Playbook Trio.
I don't think it's out.
I don't think it's Playbook.
I'm
can't
sorry.
Find it.
Sorry, what was I calling it? I'm sorry. It's the something book. Asus Trio Transformer book. Sorry. Playbook. I've really been thinking about BlackBerry a lot this week. I'm sorry.
Remember the Playbook? That was funny.
Yeah, see, the Playbook actually ran well. I was disappointed it didn't do well.
Yeah, this doesn't do it for me. Because the difference is being able to hide that keyboard away, not have to...
Not fold it up and have to expose it all the time. Exactly.
You just hide the keyboard when you don't want it, and when you want it, you pop it out.
Yep. Yeah.
So that's the difference.
Yeah. What about you, Brandon? Would you get a Transformer book Trio or an Asus? What is it called? Ativ Q.
Ativ Q.
Neither. I just don't see the point.
Well, for me, I'd like it. I'd like it a lot, and the price is really the only thing that would turn me away. But I don't think I'm not too worried about the price, because you got to think about it. It is not an Android tablet, so you can't think about it as in it needs to be $600, $700. It's a Windows 8 machine, and I would pay. I think my cutoff would be like $1,500, $1,600.
Oof. I don't know if I'd go that high. Yeah. I mean, I like the thing, but boy, I don't want to pay that much for it.
That's where I'd draw the line. I don't know that I would buy it there, but if it's any more than that, I absolutely would not. But I mean, ideally, I'd say I would guess this will be around $1,000 or $1,200. That's my guess.
Yeah,
because they've got something there. They've got the attention of everyone with this.
They definitely do.
It's got a 3,200 by 1,800 screen. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, so at 13 inches, and this is another thing. We were talking about jumbo tablets. Remember this time last year, we were like, oh, we got all these jumbo tablets on the horizon. Who's going to be the first to do a 13-inch tablet? And then, like, Toshiba did one, and kind of nobody really cared.
I saw that thing. I was walking by their booth at CES, and the guy's like, don't you want to look at this tablet? I was like, I can see it from here. It's too big. And I walked off.
I can't wait until we can talk about them. I can't wait until I remember we snaked our way through that booth too, and we were like, anything new? You guys got anything new? No, nothing new? Okay, we got to go. But they had that really nice thing that I saw at IFA, that tiny little Nexus 7 aping thing, which was made out of metal and which was great, the XT370 or something like that, or 270. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's move on from the Ativ Q, even though I don't want to. Pricing is still not announced, and we will find out about this. I don't know.
Kills me.
It would be great if we could get one. I don't know if we can, because this is kind of a Samsung Electronics thing, not a Samsung Mobile thing, but we are going to try our best. So
it'd be great if Samsung would learn to announce price at their launch or announcement events.
I'm sure they're still debating it. You know?
They don't want price to cloud people's desire to get the product.
Yeah,
but, okay,
exactly
but
right.
Let's compare this to Apple, because we always do. They announced everything, all their new products, all the new computers at WWDC.
Right.
Everything came with a price and a launch date.
And a launch date.
Everything. And most of them were like, it's available right now.
Right. And the crazy thing about this is that there are people who are still going to fight you in the comments about that. And it's like, no, why would you do that? But see, this is stupid. This is the thing where I cannot go with anybody who would argue against you on this. There is a concrete, satisfying, incredibly rewarding thing to come away from an event knowing what every product costs and when it's going to launch. And if you can't do that today, you shouldn't have announcements. And nobody else does it that way.
Yeah, my friend Anthony on Twitter said, yeah, but what about the new Mac Pro? And I said that wasn't an announcement. That was something everybody knew was coming, but even Apple said, they made it very clear, this is a sneak peek in something we didn't want to announce today.
Right.
We're not announcing it, we're announcing it, but we're just saying this isn't ready.
And you know what? You're allowed to do that when you make a beer can computer. You're allowed to do that.
When you announce like 6 new products and they're available right this minute,
then
you can say, hey, we're working on this and it'll be available in a couple months. We don't know price. Not just, we've got this awesome thing, and here it is. It's official. Have a nice day. Like, thank you, I think.
You know, it's funny. Even the live event dissolved that way. The announcement was like, now we'll be giving you one more surprise before the night is out. Come join us in product experience. And then the video ends, and it's like, oh, what was the surprise?
Yeah, on Twitter, like, he turned around, he's like, we've got one more thing. And I tweeted, one more thing. And he's like, we're going to have live music later.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Oh, Samsung events are so funny. They're so ridiculous.
The jokes that had no response whatsoever.
Brandon, did you watch this thing live as well? You were on a phone call for half of it, right?
I was not watching it live.
Oh my God, you missed out on some. Well, you know what? It in the first 5 minutes, I think I tweeted, I'm like, this already has way too many shades of Radio City Music Hall. I hate this already. And
no tap dancing Tommy. I was so upset.
Yeah, there was no tap dancing kid. It was better than the Galaxy S4 event, but not by much.
Ugh. It was still grandiose. They had this enormous stage for 2 people to stand on it.
Yeah.
It was bigger than my apartment building, not my actual apartment, but the entire building that I live in.
Yeah. Yeah, it was too big for the event.
Because, I'm going to walk over here and do this demonstration. And 3 minutes later, he got to the other side of the stage.
Yeah. And then it turned out to be a water tank that he could drop the Galaxy S4 active in. It's like, oh, I've seen that before. Whoa. Brandon, there's an earthquake in your location, Brandon.
What?
Did you just have a paper avalanche on your desk?
I just changed positions. Sorry, guys. Get off my ass, okay?
I thought you were going to say you changed outfits. I was going to say that was very impressive because that was quick.
Brandon doesn't know how to
use. I was supposed to stay in the same position the whole friggin' podcast.
Why don't you use your cough button, brother? That's what it's there for.
Maybe you guys can stay totally stationary for 90 minutes, but I just can't.
Do you know what I do? Do you know what I do during the podcast? Oh, you stand up. See, I'm in my swiveling chair, and I'm just swiveling back and forth the whole time. I look like a 6-year-old on the podcast.
I stand up so I jog in place, and you never know.
Oh, see,
you guys are really sophisticated, and I wish to learn from you.
Hey, why won't the Galaxy NX be a big seller? Taylor, tell us about what the Galaxy NX is, and tell us why you don't think it'll sell.
Because it has 2 features that really make it the Galaxy NX.
What is it?
It has LTE and TouchWiz.
What is it? What is it overall for the listeners that weren't paying attention?
It is a mirrorless camera. So it's like what we use on most of our videos. And we use the Sony NEX5N, and you use the F3, I believe.
Correct.
Jaime uses a 5N as well. And that is a mirrorless camera. So it's like almost a DSLR, but it's more pocketable. Mm-hmm. I can't fit it in my pockets, but the Galaxy Mega,
Galaxy NX.
The Galaxy NX, which is mega, it is very mega. It's a mirrorless camera, so it's supposed to be kind of in the same class as what we use, but it's the size of the NX20, which is another Samsung camera, which is a DSLR.
I feel like it's a big camera, right? It looks huge.
It's bigger than the NX20, so it's bigger than their official DSLR. But it's actually got more specs along the lines of a mirrorless camera.
Yeah, so this is an Android-powered camera that's much bigger than the Galaxy camera, and thankfully it doesn't have a phone built into it, but it does have LTE, and it's got Android.
Well, it might as well have a phone. It has a 1.2 or 1.6 gigahertz quad core processor.
Right, but it's
2 gigs
it's
of
a
RAM.
lot
It's got
more like a
full
Galaxy
specs.
camera than any of the phones. Yeah, but it's huge, and
It is enormous. I personally really like
what
it,
she
and
said.
I'd like to have it.
yeah,
I'd like to really have
Stick
one
with it.
because for people like us, my point in this article was for people like us who go to trade shows and need cameras with connectivity,
Yeah.
there's nothing more awesome than having a camera with LTE built in. Like, I feel like this camera was built for the press and
We've had
no one else.
we've had some interesting uses for the Galaxy camera at trade shows where we can shoot back photos very quickly to the guys that are in front of their computers and posting news and so forth. So,
Yeah.
but this goes really to the next level, I guess, in
Yeah.
Image quality. Maybe
Yeah,
it's,
because the Galaxy camera kind of takes crap pictures. For a dedicated camera, it takes crap pictures.
Yeah, what's the sensor size on the NX? 20?
20.3.
Yeah.
And you have interchangeable lenses.
Now, Brandon, I'm interested because Brandon was making a good point there. I'm interested in how much more efficiency, though, did that Galaxy camera bring us at events? Because we can't
Okay.
we can't use the instant upload for video. We can't because we have to edit our video first and then upload it. So we need a computer for that. So really, it's only good for uploading still shots to like Dropbox for the, like you say, for the team at home. So.
Well, what it does is it saves time. Maybe not exactly at that moment because we're sitting in the chair and we're taking pictures of the event. But if we didn't have that capability at some point during that day, maybe later in the hotel room or whatever, we would have to sit down and it's not the longest process ever. But if the hotel Wi-Fi sucks or something, this way the photos can simmer on the Galaxy camera, and if there's poor LTE or whatever, it'll eventually upload when it has a good signal.
Well,
So
that's
just save
true.
some time.
Yeah. Well, in theory, it would have worked a lot better when you guys went to a New York event and we were sitting here and I was getting pictures on Dropbox. If we had enabled Dropbox before you got to the event, because through the entire event, I was getting pictures of Brandon's family and stuff.
No, I think that was mine. So what happened, listeners, I don't remember what the event was, but I was bringing my Galaxy camera along, and when I enabled Dropbox functionality, I enabled it from the event, and I think, Taylor, you guys got like 300 pictures of not the event at all.
Yeah. So when the event was almost over, I got like the pictures of you guys sitting down in the crowd, and the event was over, and I finally got pictures of Jason McKenzie on stage. So it was an HTC event. I was just like, awesome. This is great.
That was the one announcement. That's what it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was funny.
But no, what's so great about this camera is the quality improvements. So it will take DSLR quality images, or at least close to it, and it uses all of the Samsung NX camera lenses. So if you've already got a Samsung DSLR, which very, very, very few people do, this works perfectly. You can sell the body of your camera you have, buy this thing, and you've got a better camera, or at least the same quality camera with more features. But why I said this is not going to be a big seller is because there are several reasons. So most of these cameras with Android built on them are built for consumers, basic users who want a better camera experience, who want more features in a plain old point-and-shoot camera. Enter Galaxy Camera, right? It's a phone with a camera built in, and it's
without the
easier to
phone.
use. Well, okay, not a phone, but it is a phone, but it doesn't have phone capabilities. But this isn't going to carry a lightweight price like a point-and-shoot camera, like the Galaxy camera or the
Yeah, so it doesn't have a home, is what you're saying, because pros aren't going to buy it because it dumbs it down too much, and consumers aren't going to have enough money to buy it.
Yeah, you don't have enough buttons. Pros like hardware buttons on their camera. They like toggles and switches because they can quickly access this stuff with analog buttons.
Yeah.
This, you have just as many features, but you've got to dig through interface settings. So to change your aperture, you're going to have to go through, it's like 4 pages just to get to your aperture settings.
Right.
So pros are going to look at this and say, this is ridiculous. Why would I ever use this? And then you have those consumers who are like, I'm not going to spend $10 or $1,000, $1,200 on a camera because it has Android and LTE. Like, that doesn't suit my needs. I'll just get a basic DSLR, a Micro Four Thirds, or I'll just get a point-and-shoot camera and be happy.
This is good. This is good. It's a product that's good for marketing. It makes Samsung look good and innovative and bold.
Yeah. So my point was that this appeals to a very, very, very very small demographic.
Right.
Us,
Not really. But why does
well,
But yeah, no. I agree with you, and us is sort of it. But here's the thing: why? Look at what Samsung is doing. Look at it in context of what their efforts were with the Galaxy camera, and where are they going with it? Because we had the Galaxy camera, and we were like, "Whoa, where'd this come from?" Okay, guys, we know you made a little cameras, but now you're making a big deal out of this. And now with this NX, and at the event they kept showing close-ups of Samsung lens, and they really want to trend. They're positioning themselves to. They've already broken into the camera segment, but they're positioning themselves to try to dominate it in the consumer
I'm getting there. Hold on.
Really?
I'm getting there eventually.
It's good because we have like 4 hours for this podcast, so it's good.
We do.
Take your time. Yeah.
So it appeals to people in our industry because we need great camera quality and connectivity. But the other people that it appeals to is like 4 people. People who want that LTE connectivity. Nobody really cares that this camera has Android on it. Nobody. If I had my NEX 5N with LTE, I would be completely happy. But I don't. So really, this only appeals to somebody who wants to take a camera out, shoot images, and share them immediately. But that's it. Who's going to want to do that? That's not the point, though. This point is they're upping the ante in the camera space. Not to pros. Pros don't care. But they're putting Android on things that we never thought was possible with Android.
Refrigerators.
Yes.
What do you think the negative?
Washing machines.
They're putting TouchWiz on every one of their products. Are they going to make a TV with TouchWiz? I hope not. But
LG is making WebOS TVs, so why not?
They are?
Yeah, they're
Yes.
gonna.
When?
That's why they bought rights to WebOS.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
But
Stupid.
But yeah, what they're doing is saying, hey, we can do this. We've always thought Android is pretty with camera quality. Because the Galaxy camera really only, solidified that that it really wasn't that great.
Right. So where are we going ultimately with this? How do we get out of How do we get out of this camera discussion? I'm sorry I brought it up.
It's not going to be a big seller. Boom, done.
Good.
Next.
Good. Yeah. The Galaxy NX, interesting
It
product.
doesn't appeal to anyone. That's the moral of the story.
I have one question. What does NX mean?
That is
know.
a good question. So
I figured that they wanted to steal
Naval
from the
experiment.
branding from Sony for NEX. We're just going to drop the E.
Damn.
Oh, I have no idea. That was just I just pulled that out of my rear end.
Wow.
Can you stop pulling things out of your butt?
List of what does NCC and NX mean? Yeah, so if you look up what does NX mean, you get a lot of Star Trek links for hilarious reasons. So whenever there's an NX product with a specific number after it, I'm like, oh hey, my Star Trek brain is going weird. I don't know. It's probably a Sony emulation thing, like you suggest. We talked about the Samsung Galaxy Mega. I'm ready to jump platforms, guys. Unless you want to talk about anything else from Samsung, because I'm so burned out on talking Samsung.
That is a sound of exhaustion.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff yesterday, and I think it was all covered pretty well. Tony did a really good job, and Samsung brought out some cool products. I just wish they wouldn't try so hard at their actual events because it's so hilarious.
And I wish they would just go back to their branding from before, where a Galaxy S4 is a Galaxy S4, and anything that's not is not a Galaxy S4.
Yeah.
They need to go back to Utah.
So, can we briefly touch on this iPhone 5S? Speaking of things called S.
Nope.
Is this legit? Do we think this is legit? No?
Nope.
No?
Yes.
I have no idea.
Yes.
I haven't even looked at it.
So it's interesting because when I saw this posted, Brandon, this is from Mac Rumors and from Engadget, via Engadget from Mac Rumors.
So it's got a taller LED flash.
Yep, that seems reasonable. I mean, I think it's going to have a higher resolution camera, and it's bigger battery and faster processor. It's going to look exactly the same except for the back, and it's going to have iOS 7, and that's that. It's it's an in between.
Yeah,
the iPhone 6 is the one to get.
Well, maybe.
Actually, the 8 I heard is going to be good.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Sources say you're right. So I think it was interesting because we normally don't post iPhone leaks, but that's because not a lot of them are terribly reliable. Usually they're renders or whatever. But this one looks like it could be legit. And
was this one left in a bar?
Yeah. Yeah, they found this
The
one.
funny thing is that guy was NC State grad.
Is that right?
My friend knew him. Yeah, my friend that I worked with for several years knew the guy.
Guys, I just got an awesome thing on my BlackBerry Hub. So BlackBerry Hub, aggregates all your notifications. I just got my first bit of spam on BlackBerry Hub, and I'm not talking about email spam. The Skype app just spammed me in the BlackBerry Hub.
Oh my goodness.
Skype offer for your BlackBerry 10. You can already call Skype to Skype for free. Terms and conditions apply. This message was sent by or on behalf of BlackBerry.
I'm glad that Microsoft bought Skype, but at the same time, Skype. I used to enjoy Skype when there weren't advertisements in my freaking chat window.
Yeah. That's
Or when you go to share your screen, it's like, you must upgrade to share your screen. Or continue without upgrading, or continue sharing your screen without upgrading. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Every time I get on a call with Jaime, he's like, I've got to upgrade. I already have a premium. I don't need to upgrade. I'm like, I don't know, but I can click right through this and share my screen. He's like, I don't know. This is ridiculous.
Every time I jump back into using Skype, it's some software update has happened, and every time they update Skype, they got to change the UI. Like, they got to move the buttons around. They got to. It's amazing. Using Skype after an upgrade is like visiting the cereal aisle in your grocery store after a week. Just everything's been changed around.
How long until they put Metro UI on it?
I wish they would, because those buttons are so small and bubbly and stupid. Anyway, let's talk about Microsoft a little bit, because Microsoft apparently tried to make a little bit of a purchase recently, but they weren't able to do it. What do we think about that?
I'd like to see Huawei purchase them, but hey, that's just me.
We're talking about Nokia. If anybody
Denny's.
had any, it's like IHOP buying Applebee's. It just makes no sense, but it still happened. This was kind of amazing to me, because we had been speculating about it podcast after podcast. Is Microsoft going to buy Nokia at some point if things get bad enough? But we didn't have any concrete info, and I think this was from the Wall Street Journal. Yeah, apparently there were negotiations that were happening over the past couple months discussing the deal, but everything fell through. Rumors say because Nokia was asking for too much money. And it seems as if Microsoft walked away from the table.
You're a sinking ship. You're not worth $20 billion.
Man, I see. It's so hard, though. When you look at all the metrics, I don't know if it's fair to call them a sinking ship anymore. I feel like they've stemmed a lot of the bleeding. I feel like they're at least not sinking any lower. They might be sitting pretty low in the water.
They put a Band-Aid on a 30-stitch gap. So...
Well, and then you make a good point about Huawei, though. Now, and then Huawei apparently came calling when when deals were happening, and I think I read somewhere else that Huawei was concerned about investing in Nokia because they considered Windows Phone, quote, weak, which was an interesting quote to see in a headline. I didn't even bother going to the comments.
It seems pretty blunt.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Now, Brandon, what are your thoughts on this? I'm just curious as to, do you think it would have been a good idea for Microsoft to buy Nokia?
I'm kind of curious why the talks fell apart, and the only reason that I can think of the talks fell apart is because of disagreement, and usually it's about price. So my guess is that Nokia wanted a ton, and Microsoft just didn't think it was worth it, because Microsoft has already sunk in so much money into Windows Phone, and it really hasn't paid off yet. And their investors are not going to be happy if they pay what's the market cap of Nokia? Anyone know?
I don't know.
Let's figure that out. Are they a public company? I think so. NOK?
Nokia Corporation's trading at $3.86 right now.
So the market cap is $15 billion. So they'd have to pay probably a slight premium to that. They wouldn't have to pay all cash. They could use some stock. So they'd have to probably pay like half of that in cash, like 70. I mean, that would be a mega acquisition. And I think they need to buy Nokia so that they can help drive more of their direction.
But that's my question. Why would they? Why would they have to buy Nokia? Nokia is already in their pocket. Nokia already builds only Windows phones, basically, except for the Asha stuff. So why bother investing in buying the company if they've already got from Nokia what they need?
To do exactly what they want with the company. To have their way with them.
Right, but what could Microsoft do better? Microsoft, who can't really sell the Surface, or the Surface Pro is doing okay, but who can't really sell the Surface RT, who's new to hardware, what could Microsoft do better than Nokia that Nokia is not doing well right now? I don't understand.
In like 3 months from now, we're going to be able to answer this question a lot better, because the same question could be asked about Google buying Motorola, and we don't know the answer to that yet.
The patents.
Yeah, that might be the answer there. Nokia has so many patents.
Yeah.
No,
But Microsoft's not really getting attacked with patents. So I don't know. And Microsoft
because
isn't
they're not
losing
making
money.
a huge handset hardware play right now. We haven't seen a Surface Phone out of them yet. We've seen a tablet, but
Microsoft hasn't really sunk in a lot of money into Windows Phone because they're getting just as much back from Android.
So, they're getting more from Android than
yeah. So that was a point I made in an article a long time ago, is that Microsoft could do this as long as Android is around. So if Microsoft lives at 1%, 2% market share for the rest of Windows Phone's life, then it doesn't matter because they've already made all their money through Android. So they could try and throw money around all they want because they're getting money for nothing.
at the moment.
Crazy, for now.
Yeah, for now. I don't know. I just think it's interesting. I like thinking about what's happening with Nokia, but and this is something that makes me a little sad. It seems like, and this is coming from somebody who was never a business student, and who's never really in business at a deciding level. But it seems that whenever there are talks about a merger or a buyout, the actual event of the merger or buyout is really not that far away. Even if it's stuff like this where it's like talks broke down, it's like, well, then somebody else is going to be talking to them real soon if they're not already. So,
Google's going to swoop in and buy them. That would be absolutely
ridiculous.
Hilarious. I
don't think that would be legal even.
That would be hilarious.
But what if is Huawei? If Huawei were to buy Nokia, would that be the worst case scenario? Why do I feel like that would be horrible for Nokia?
We'd never see Nokia again. They would market low-end prepaid phones on.
No, they wouldn't.
Straight Talk.
That would be like dating a really hot chick and then putting a bag over her head when you took her out in public.
I love your analogies.
Thank you for going that route. I just Huawei's been trying so hard to get into the U.S. market. Nokia has a presence in the U.S. market. I can understand why they would be interested. But the fact that they are quoted as saying, I'm sorry I can't source this, so maybe it's not accurate. The fact that they may have been quoted as saying that they find Windows Phone weak, well, then you're kind of missing the point, Huawei. You're going to buy Nokia and then use them to make Android hardware like so many, 14 million fanboys want? No.
Well, Huawei calls Windows Phone weak because they can't do the exact same thing they do with Android with Windows Phone. They can't build a $20 phone to sell on Straight Talk or some prepaid carrier here in the States and
yeah, well, they build okay phones for overseas. And
overseas, but they're not getting that same traction that they are with Android phones. That's why they call it weak. They don't make compelling hardware to sell a very standardized software. That's the thing with Windows Phone. You can't just slap Windows Phone on any old hardware and it sell. You have to do something compelling with the hardware. And that's something Huawei's not particularly awesome at.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just found my favorite headline of the day from Network World. It said, Windows Phone weak, Huawei sneers. Windows phones are weak but still require a license fee, says Richard Yu, CEO of Huawei's consumer division, according to an interview in the Financial Times. That's not good. Android is free. Apparently, he was speaking before the launch today of a new Huawei smartphone, or the other day, the Ascend P6. Yeah.
10 years ago, not even that, in 2000, so 13 years ago, Nokia's market cap was just shy of $250 billion.
Wow.
Jeez, oh my God.
Wow. That is crazy.
That is crazy.
And they're not a sinking ship? They're like 10%, not even that.
Of what they were? Yeah.
Of what they were.
I just took issue with your verb. It's like if you're low in the water and you've been mostly dead, then yeah. But if you're sinking, it says to me that you're actually actively still dying harder. I feel like they were plummeting to the bottom of the Grand Canyon and they landed on a pterodactyl, but the pterodactyl's now injured.
on a weak branch.
Yeah, but they're still not falling as quickly.
They're holding on.
They're not dying as quickly, I think. So maybe this EOS will help to, aid in that recovery. And we saw that maybe the international version was possibly revealed by this leak of this Nokia RM875.
I didn't crush your segue. That makes me sad.
That was nice. A good segue.
Wasn't that a good one?
As it was happening, I wanted to hit a bell and and mark the occasion. Hey, I don't know this EOS thing. Yeah. I know it makes Tony feel unnaturally towards a mobile device, and
it gets me a little excited as well. I get beads of sweat on my forehead.
Okay.
Wow,
that's good.
Nice.
But I kind of don't get it. I've never actually used a PureView, and I've seen some sample images, and I think a lot of other people aren't going to get it. But I think what's going to get people is the 41 megapixel thing.
That's exactly right.
It's going to be such a headline, and people are going to It's kind of like. It's kind of like going to a cell phone store and getting a phone with a 10-inch screen. I mean, just that alone is enough to get you to pay attention to it.
I need more megapixels.
Yeah, right. And this is what caught. You know what's funny? I still remember the morning I woke up and rolled over and read the news. And Tony was at MWC, and our first headline, our biggest headline of the day, this is MWC 2012, was Nokia wows crowd with 41 megapixel camera. And I had to look at it 3 times to make sure I wasn't missing a decimal point. And I almost emailed you, Brandon. I was like, Tony it's at 4.1, right?
Can you remind me what that actually means? Because it's not literally 41 megapixels.
No, I will. Taylor will be able to describe it in detail first. But here's the thing.
I will?
Probably. Oh no. There's pixel doubling and stuff that goes on. But the point is, none of that matters, because as much as I like to say, and as much as we all like to believe that specs don't matter, they still matter if you advertise them properly. And being able to advertise, and truthfully, a 41 megapixel sensor nobody else can match that. I was standing in line with my HTC One when it was brand new, the review unit, and some guy asked me, he's like, "What's that?" I'm like, "Oh, that's the HTC One." And he's like, "Oh, how many megapixels it got?" Like, that was the second question the guy asked me.
What a jerk!
Right, but this is what people do. They want to know.
It doesn't have megapixels. It has ultra pixels.
Right, and I didn't even bother trying to explain. I'm like, it's just 4, but it's a good camera. But this is the thing. Imagine if you told somebody, that same guy, imagine if I was like 41. He's like, "Are you serious?" That gets conversation going. That gets buzz. And when you can back that up with excellent performance, like all the Lumia devices can, that's a game changer. That's why it's so exciting to me, personally.
Yeah, my grandpa obsessed over megapixels in cameras. He didn't care about anything else, just megapixels. And every time I would come to his house with a new phone, he'd be, "How many megapixels it have? How many megapixels?"
Well, first of all, you should correct your grandfather. Tell him that they're not megapixels; they're megapixels.
Never correct.
But it's funny you mentioned that, Taylor, because I've had that happen. Like my parents or something. No, my dad. He got his girlfriend got him a DSLR camera, and which I thought was crazy because he has an iPhone 5. That should be good enough. He's never going to figure out how to use a DSLR. It's bulky for the things he takes pictures with. He's going to forget it, and it's going to be a waste of money. But the one thing he knew about it was how many megapixels it had, and it really surprised me that people still are thinking about that.
And because the regular consumer space lags behind the tech press and the actual state of things, because people want to be able to classify cameras. They want to be. There's so many smartphones out there. It's like, what do you got? The Galaxy? Oh, I got the Droid. Oh, I got the iPhone. Oh, how many megapixels you got? It's like it's
now
that.
You're saying megapixels.
Now I'm saying megapixels. But it's that thing where people are like, "Oh, what do you mean megapixels?" And people like to be able to educate each other in the regular consumer space. And it's like, "Oh, well, the more megapixels you got, the better it is." And regardless of how wrong that is, millions upon millions of people believe that is the case.
Yeah.
So that's why this is important.
I have a photography. Wow. I have a photography friend.
Try again.
I have a friend who's a professional photographer. Hey, and she took pictures. She is a wonderful photographer. She is awesome. I love her pictures. And one of her clients came up to her after the shoot and was looking at the pictures, and she said, "You need to buy some more mega pencils to put in your camera."
Did you say mega pencils?
Mega pencils. And she said she just about fell out on the floor and told the woman to just leave. Mega pencils.
You
Yes.
gotta buy some more mega pencils.
So every time I see her and she's talking about cameras and stuff, I'm like, "How many mega pencils I have?" And she looks back at me and always says mega pickles. And yeah. So my grandpa would always ask me that, how many megapixels it have, after he would ask me if I still work at the internets.
You still work at those internets?
Yeah, you work at the internet still. Love
Sometimes
and miss that man.
sometimes Michael emails me and he says, "Can I has more interwebs?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
I do not provide the interwebs.
I need more interwebs.
Hey,
Sometimes Brandon
ahead.
sends me emails that are completely like,
Oh yeah. Oh, that was funny.
I can't decode them. I don't know
like
what to do.
what? Like what?
Can
The one I sent you yesterday.
Taylor? Can you please?
I sent it to Michael. I'm like, can you understand this?
What did it say?
Hold on, I'll read it.
It was the most
That's
funny
hilarious.
exchange ever because I'm in the middle of writing a TVQ stuff, and then Taylor's like, "Can you decode this Brandon email?" It's like,
Yeah, I said Samsung pieces with the subject. I said, "Got anything yet?" And then I gave you two suggestions.
Let-
You know, something about an Android-powered DSLR with LTE. Something about how Samsung is ruining the Galaxy brand. And your response, that was my email. Your response was, "Looks like two things, one Android." And my response back to that was, what? I have no idea what you meant by that.
I was trying to say I was trying to say that the not that many things were announced, but one is Android, and so that you should expect an email and figuring out what we're gonna write about next. See, you just gotta
you just got to fill in the gaps. It's that easy.
Yep.
It was a 6-word
was
email. I had to
funny.
fill in like 40 words.
That was great.
Yeah, I laughed about that for quite some time.
Did you guys know, Stephen just put up an article because a friend sent me an email with this, that HTC has an offer. If you type in your serial number on an HTC website, you get $25 in Google Play credit.
You're kidding me. I didn't know about that.
I wonder if I can do that with my international one.
Yes, you can.
Wow.
Go to pocketnow.com.
So yeah, the deal. If you bought an HTC One starting on June 14th, you could be eligible for receiving a free $25 Google Play credit. That is awesome. And sorry,
wanna try
all
it?
you international Pocket Now readers, this deal is strictly for one handset sold and activated in the U.S. We know, lame. That's too bad.
Starting on June 14th. You had this way before June 14th. So it doesn't work.
Stephen's so honest. He tells it like it is.
We like that in our news team. News team. All right, Anchorman 2 is coming out. That's going to be great. Let's.
Yeah,
talk-
Ben, I
we
want to
have-
see it so bad.
I want to see it
We have
badly as well.
8 minutes left, so let's make these
You
8
can also-
minutes count.
We're gonna talk about
We only
Ron,
have-
Ron Burgundy. Don't we have
Ron
what?
Burgundy.
Don't we have listener mail? Is that what you were going to ask?
Oh, wait.
No, I said we only have 2 subjects left.
Do you know Rond? Who's the adult film Rond?
Oh, Ron Jeremy.
Jeremy?
Yes, I met him. It was kind of funny.
You didn't shake his hand, did you?
I was just going to
wouldn't
ask
touch
if you. Yeah, it's important to shake a hand. Ron
I-
Jeremy probably washes his hands.
I would bump his elbow. We could bump elbows.
When did you meet him, Brandon?
I was in Las Vegas for my bachelor party, and I really do not remember much about it, except that we happened to be in town the same time that the adult film convention or something was in town. And so, like, here's a bunch of, like, 25-year-old guys, away from their girlfriends and wives, and like, just like a cab ride away is this porn convention.
It was a week after CES, wasn't it?
The AVN Adult Entertainment Expo is what.
No, it was not. It wasn't near CES. Actually, it was a different time of the year. It was a different kind of. It was a different thing. The thing you're talking about, Taylor, I think is like the movie expo or something. But this was just like a general adult thing. And we walk in, and there he was with his mustache. And if this was a video podcast, I'd pull up a picture on my phone because we got some pictures with him. But
Wow.
anyway,
Wow.
this is totally inappropriate. Can
You know
we
what?
move the hell-
No, we are going to move on, but I found it very fascinating to. By the way, if you read any autobiographies or biographies of people in the adult film industry, it is wow. I mean, it's like really depressing reading, but it is also fascinating. And when I was in the middle of reading some story about some suicide or something really, really sad stuff, they mentioned CES. And I was like, wait, what are you guys talking about? And I didn't know that for years the Adult Film Expo coincided with CES in Las Vegas.
Yep, same time. They had to switch.
I had no idea.
They had to move the movie porn convention, whatever, a week back because it was crushing the infrastructure of Las Vegas. Because the normal population of Las Vegas is just over 200,000.
And it quintuples during these things, right?
Yeah. So for CES alone, it triples.
Yeah.
And then with the porn convention there, it was like 5 times the normal population.
And the city
and
just couldn't
every
handle
hotel
it, right?
every hotel was booked, every cab was taken. I mean, there was just literally
There's a line out the door of the In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah, the train was completely packed 24/7. They was just like, this can't happen. We can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
So they moved it a week back, and there were a lot of people that went to CES who were upset. They were like, "What? No! What do I do when the show floor closes?"
All those outlets that cover tech news and adult film news. All those dual mode outlets. Hey, the Nokia Lumia 925 got a review. You should check that out. And Tony did that, and you know what? I've been watching the metrics as compared to the BlackBerry Q10 review. And do you guys know, without looking at the metrics, and listeners, you can have your own little guessing game in here if you want. Do you guys know which device is currently more popular in terms of views on YouTube?
Since you asked the question, it's probably the unexpected one, which means it's the Q10.
Isn't that crazy?
No.
Yeah.
It must be a fluke in the data. It can't possibly be.
Well, the thing is,
I wanted it. Like I saw it before, and I'm like, man,
are you talking about
I want
the Q10?
that phone. Yeah, because nostalgia and stuff.
Sure, and I'm not saying the Q10 is a bad device. And if you read my review, you can tell that I'm not saying it's a bad device. But the thing is, people were asking us, people were banging down our door in the comments, like, got a 925 yet? Do you have a Lumia 925? Do a review of the 925. Can you do a comparison of the 925? Like, it was this amazing maelstrom. And you know how many people were asking for the Q10 review? None. Like, nobody, people still don't come to us for BlackBerry news first because we're still new to covering BlackBerry, which I guess is the thing. But it's just stunning to me that the BlackBerry Q10 is outperforming the Lumia 925 on our metrics, and it's interesting. But
globally, it might be a little different. Globally, it might be SEO, maybe, I don't know.
It could be. It could well be. I don't know. But in any case, both those reviews are up alongside your Mega one. We had a heck of a week in reviews, which was cool. Mega. And so it's nice. Taylor and I have both been using the Q10. We've been looping Jaime into BBM chats because Jaime has my old Z10.
And Hayato.
And Hayato, yes.
El Gato. Is that what you guys just said?
No, we like the Elgato, though. That's a fun device. But also Hayato, yes.
Does it really...
My Elgato is useless.
Does it really what, Brandon?
Oh, never mind.
So you just got to power through when Taylor interrupts. You just got to keep talking.
Yeah, I was told, when I started on this podcast, I was told, if in doubt or when in doubt, just
fill the
interrupt.
space. That's right, because we hate dead space, and that's why.
I hate interrupting people, and now I'm just like,
now you just do it all the time. We've created a monster.
In the last 3 minutes I can be here, I wanted to go back to something that we were talking about. We were talking about pickles, and I was wondering if you guys like the sweet gherkins, the smaller ones, or if you like the ones that are more classic vinegary pickles.
I hate pickles.
Dill
so
pickles
hard.
are delicious. What are they? Sweet. It's like an olive pickle or something. I can't remember what it is. Grape leaf pickles. Those.
Can you send me a jar, Taylor? I have no idea what you're talking about.
My grandma cans them, so yeah, I can send you a jar.
Really?
Yeah.
I would love some homemade pickles from your grandmother.
Yeah, she makes them out of the cucumbers in her garden. But yes, grape leaf pickles are not that great. I don't like sweet pickles, but dill pickles, the vinegary ones, are delicious.
If we were doing a video podcast, you would see me like bashing my head against the foam in my booth. Because it's really, really nice to do in here when you guys talk about pickles. I hate pickles, so I just have nothing to contribute. I'm afraid.
What do you
You're
have
not
against
American,
pickles?
boy.
Yeah, I just don't like crispy, briny things in green liquid. Not my thing. Brandon, are you getting any new device soon for yourself? Because you people, I still get the occasional, where's Brandon Miniman in my comments.
Well,
Every video I post, I get, where's Joe Levi and where's Brandon?
Why can't people be satisfied with who's there at the moment?
I don't know. People
It never matters. There's always
they don't like me like they like Joe.
No, they're starting to like you a lot better. See, I told you, it's just because you were new, and then now people like you better.
No, people like me, but they do get upset in this podcast, like in the posts and stuff. If I don't interrupt people, if I don't crush segues and don't interrupt people,
No,
they're like,
they get upset
"What's
when you
wrong with
do,
Taylor?"
and then I'm like, I already did it. But Brandon, are you getting a sweet new toy soon?
Am I?
I don't know.
You tell me, bro.
Well, we were going to get, so listeners, you get to, this is the last point we'll make before Brandon has to go. You get to take a peek behind the curtain, because we were going to get the NEC Terrain, but then we kind of looked at it and we looked at the other devices that were coming in and we were like, you know what, we don't have time to do this right now. That was the decision, right, Brandon?
Yes.
Yeah. So the NEC Terrain is the first NEC device to hit American shores in a very long time, but it's ruggedized, which is the only cool thing about it, really. It's an Android device with a physical QWERTY, and it looks like, in the words of Adam Lane, when I asked him, because he saw it last night, he was like, it looks like an old Windows mobile device that might still need a stylus. It doesn't feel that great in the hand. I was like, okay.
640 by 480 resolution.
Yeah.
Brandon would love that.
My eyes, they're burning. Michael, what were you what was the point in bringing that up?
The question was, it was not a rhetorical question. I'm not sending you a surprise device or anything like that, but it's just that we do get people occasionally asking if they could see you more often on the tubes. And now with Pocketnow Live taking the summer off, I just wondered if we would see your face showing us a device.
I can send you my Ouya.
I think people are missing my squinty brown eyes and my iPad choice. Well, when the wind blows and there's something amazing to be reviewed, I will review it. However, a lot of the time in the next few weeks, I will probably be changing poopy diapers. So
that's right. Right. I can't wait. I'm going to send you a cigar. I can't wait.
I'm going to road trip up there and say hello. And I'll let you test drive my car, so that'll be your short vacation.
I do want to test drive your car. Every time you post a picture on Facebook, I get very excited.
You get a little sweat beads on the brow.
Love it. I finally got rid of my 30-day tags, which is so nice.
But are you happy with the color choice? Taylor got a Scion. What are the letters?
FRS. It stands for Front Engine Rear Wheel Drive Sports Car.
My goodness, I can't believe they made a rear wheel drive car. That's amazing. So are you enjoying the color? It's like an orangey, brownish, burnt, nice.
No, it's not actually a burnt orange. It's like a bright, when the sun shines on it, it looks like it's on fire. It's just really, really bright. And if it's like an overcast day, it's a burnt orange. So it's metallic. It's really cool. I like it a lot.
That is awesome.
And I get a lot of questions about it. Somebody asked me the other day, they didn't see the front of it, they saw the top, and they looked at me and they were like, "Is that a Ferrari?" I'm like, "No, it's a Scion. It's not that expensive." And I get a lot of questions asking if it's the 370, like a new 370, or even like an older model 270, whatever that number is.
Right, 270Z.
Yeah. So I get a lot of questions. Nobody really knows what it is. And I drove back home for Father's Day, and there are none of them up there. Yeah. None.
They're so rare right now. It's unbelievable.
There are a lot of them in Charlotte. I see them probably 2 or 3 times a week. But back home, I drove 200 miles back home. I saw nothing. Nobody had ever seen one before. I went to a Lotus lot, and the salesman walked up to me. He's like, "You could have had a Lotus." And he was explaining the price and everything. I said, "You're a little bit out of my price range. I don't have $68,000 to put down on a car." And he's like, "Yeah, but it's all about the satisfaction of having a hand-built car and it being, rare. There are only 600 of them in the States every year, or brought into the country every year." And then he looked over at my car and he's like, "Come to think of it, I've never even seen one of these. You have a nice car, sir." I was like, "Thank you. Are you going to quit trying to sell me a Lotus now?"
Sweet.
But yeah, it was it's awesome.
Hayato makes a good point in a recent tweet. He says, "My biggest the biggest disappointment with the BlackBerry Q10 is that dual wielding with another smartphone is an absolute must. Zero app selection."
Yep. That's the problem. And porting apps from Android just isn't that great.
Yeah, but
it's a terrible experience, and the apps, after you get them on there, are pretty bad.
New excitement, though. Android 4.2 apps are going to be supported in BlackBerry Runtime. It already supported in beta. Very
before
cool.
before the tide carries me away, I do have to jump off now, gentlemen. But
all right, brother. Good to have you on the show, sir.
Keep it clean. Don't forget the mouthwash. Goodbye.
What's that? We should
go. You want to answer a piece of listener mail or two?
We can do one or two, yeah.
All right. Let's do that. We weren't going to do it, but you know what? We're already over time, and I feel like we owe people stuff after talking about porn stars, mega pencils, and cars for
pickles
for too long. Yeah, and pickles.
Hello, governor.
Oh my God!
I had to do it.
It's so bad.
You're not making a timestamp to edit that out, are you?
No, I'm actually just getting into the listener mail.
All right, good.
Podcast.
I would have been sad.
All right, here we go. Listener mail, and we haven't pre-screened these, so this will be fun. And Taylor has no idea which ones we're going to do. So
I can't even read them. So,
hey, cool, David Bullock. Interesting. So this came in 7 days ago, well before Samsung's Ativ Q, but it almost directly addressed it. This is from David Bullock. Hi, I've been thinking about how Windows 8 has opened the floodgates for tons of tablet-laptop crossovers have been coming into the Ultrabook space. However, none have really taken off in terms of sales. I personally don't think that any OEM has got the whole concept right as of yet. I also think that there's a lot of potential in the market for a tablet-laptop crossover at around the $500 to $900 price point. I think this is a perfect opportunity for Apple or someone else to step in and follow that concept, but get it right. Have everything work just right in a way that isn't at all uncomfortable for the user. Maybe even with Wacom stylus support. I think there's huge money that could be made if it was done properly. Yeah, exactly, Espen. David Bullock, you should go into a different line of business. I don't know what you do, but you should be a fortune teller in Salem, Massachusetts, or somewhere else. That's really cool. Way to email us 7 days before a big device that meets some of these requirements, and of course,
most of them. The only thing that's in question really is the price.
Exactly, and that's
if it's at $900, I will be there on launch day to pick it up.
Yeah, if it's as low as $900, that would be pretty amazing.
But yes, the only thing I'm worried about is if the S Pen works like it does on the Note 2, where it shuts off capacitive input when you're typing when you're using the S Pen, because that's one of the biggest problems with an S Pen. If it doesn't, you're going to write with your hand still. So I imagine they would. But
are you talking about palm rejection or what?
It's called palm rejection, but what it does is it switches to inductive input only, instead of capacitive and inductive.
Oh, yeah, right.
So there might have been some complications with the screen resolution or the display type or whatever, because I don't think they've gone back on that, but if they do, that will completely ruin it for me.
Yeah, so David, I mean, this is a really good point. I think that
was it a question?
It was a question. It was basically a question about Jesus. I'm sorry, I just got distracted. Brandon just sent me a Gizmodo article on some kind of woven graphite bathtub. I don't know what's going on. But I love Brandon has a hard stop so that he can go and look at design articles about soda cans. The question was basically what are our thoughts about David's thoughts, which are that, hey, the convertible space is an intriguing one and nobody's really done it right yet. Why do we think they aren't taking off? And
I hope the Ativ Q does. And I really do, because it would be the first Windows tablet that's really just hit the nail on the head, I think.
Right, but it's also, I have no confidence that it will. I recall being so very taken with the HP Envy X2 at IFA before it was released, and now that I have one, I'm like, wow, this thing is just a basket of compromises, and it's horrible. So
this one doesn't seem to be. I mean, it's got a Haswell processor.
No. On the spec sheet, you're right, it doesn't. But I don't think the user experience is going to be. Not only do I not think it's going to be for everybody, I don't think it's going to be for many people.
It's Windows 8. Windows 8 isn't for many people.
No, it's Windows 8 and Android. So while it offers, listen, for geeks like us, and this is why I wrote that piece yesterday, for tablet nerds, it's the epitome of an amazing device, and we all want it. For the regular consumer. This is why so many people buy iPads. This is why so many people buy devices that are, because they're simple and they're relatively cheap. The convertible market is inherently more complex because they are physically more involved devices. They have more components.
And it requires the user to be able to switch contexts on the fly.
Exactly.
To be able to switch between the Android experience and the Windows experience.
And the touchscreen experience
simultaneously.
And the keyboard experience as well, which is another thing that Windows... I don't think people have really gotten over this Gorilla Arm thing with Windows 8.
Gorilla Arm?
Yeah, look it up. It was a problem they ran into in the 80s when touchscreens first became sort of semi-popular. People's arms got tired because the screen was positioned like a computer screen.
Oh,
and you're like reaching your arm up, and it's not a very fun user experience. But
I've never heard it referred to as that, but you could lean the screen back. Like, you can flip the keyboard underneath, or the keyboard's facing back, and you flip the screen over, and it acts as a stand. But you can lay it back.
You can. So that what are you doing? Are you typing and then getting up and walking around to see the screen and then walking back around to type some more? Like what? I don't understand how the hinge helps in this context, because it doesn't.
You can flip the computer around if you don't need the keyboard.
If you don't need the keyboard, yeah. But then weren't we just talking about needing the keyboard?
I don't know.
This is the core of the problem with convertibles, right? Because they're inherently more complex. And that's what people don't like. That's what regular consumers don't like.
I have heard very few negative, complaints, instead of negative, just complaints about the Yoga. Switching from using the keyboard to just a tablet.
Listen, you can do what you want with your physical fitness, but we're talking about computers.
Hey. Hey now.
David, it's an interesting point. I think it's a complicated question, and thank you for, to have a look at that at TVQ. And if you have some further thoughts on this, write in again, and we'll catch back up with you, because, I don't think the TVQ is going to change the market, but it's certainly one of the more intriguing devices in this category. And let us know if you want to buy one. Thanks for the mail. Let's keep having a look here.
Also, just to say, I was born with gorilla arms, so I don't know if this really affects my take on touchscreens. So I'm just gonna leave that. I'm gonna give you that, and you take it for what it's worth. I was born with gorilla arms and tree trunk legs, so.
That's nice. That's good. It's good. I have a great email here that might be well suited to you, Taylor, because you have one of these devices. Hi, I'm Callian. I'm 14 years old, and I live in Maryland. I've been listening to your podcast for a long time now, and I listen to it while mowing the lawn, and I actually wish it was longer because it is so good. Well,
welcome to episode 40.
Welcome to episode 49, the longest ever episode with the most off-topic stuff in the history. Sorry to break our streak. It was so good. Hey, I have but one humble question for you, says Callian, and it is this. If Google says you don't need expandable SD card storage on smartphones because it's not as effective as just having more built-in internal storage, then why do they offer an 8GB Nexus 4 in their Google Play Store?
It's a valid question. It
seems to me that based on what Google has said about expandable and internal storage, they would actually offer larger storage options like 32 and 64 gigs. Thank you for your time and keep up the great work. Taylor.
All right. There are two answers to this question. The 8GB Nexus 4 is a bit of a different story because it is a device that is sold at cost or below cost, depending on what you're looking at. So yes, there is a reason that device is 8GB only, but they could have made a 32GB or 64GB model and just sold it for a little more. They were trying to hit a certain price point, which is $300, which is abnormally low for a phone. So that I understand. Is it an excuse for not offering bigger devices? No. And basically the way I see it is if you do not support microSD card slots, you need to make a minimum storage requirement.
And it should be no lower than 16, certainly.
Oh, God. 16 is...
Ideally.
It should be 32. 16 is pushing it. And most people are like, I don't even use 16 gigabytes when I say that 16 gigabytes is not enough. Yeah. Who cares? Who cares if you don't use 16 gigabytes? Jumping up to 32 gigabytes is not that much more expensive on a manufacturer side.
No, it's
on the retail side, it's like $50 to $100, which is ridiculous.
But it costs them like $18 or something like that on the manufacturer side.
It's like why are we still the Galaxy Mega? That's one reason I didn't keep it. The one I had 8 gigabytes of built-in storage. Of course, it had a micro SD card slot, but that doesn't matter. I can't put my apps on the SD card without rooting it.
Yeah,
and The problem is it had TouchWiz and 8 gigabytes of storage, which means the user, like the space available to the user, was under 5 gigabytes,
which is nuts, and that should never be the case. And this
Ever.
is it's not worth the trade-off in cost, because the user experience is so temporary. The good user experience is so temporary, because once you download enough apps or get enough media on that thing, you start running out of memory, and then 7 months later you have a useless device.
Yeah, and people get this wrong all the time. They say, "Why do you hate microSD cards?" I don't. I like them. I enjoy them. They're useful for when I switch phones or things, and I need to take the stuff I've downloaded to one phone to another phone.
Yeah.
I got a SD card in my Note. I put it in my Mega, and there was a lot of stuff already there, like backups for apps and all kinds of stuff. So I just restored everything to my phone, and it was good. But other than that, like for apps and stuff I buy from Google Play, my Google Play Music, my Spotify Music, all this stuff, it's useless to have an SD card and very little built-in space. The built-in space needs to be at least, this is 2013, it needs to be at least 32 gigabytes. And with 128 gigabyte chips on the way from Samsung, we can hope that the smallest option soon will be 32 gigabytes. Because Samsung is building eEMC NAND 128 gigabyte chips for internal storage.
All right, I've run out of RAM for this memory discussion. Ba-dun-dun. Thank you very much for the mail, and we're going to move on to the last one. I hope that made your lawn mowing a little bit more enjoyable, Callian.
Although you may have mowed your lawn like 4 times over by the time
definitely. Give that thing a rest, because, man, this is the final piece of listener mail, and it is from someone who encourages me just to call him Stephen, because he knows I don't really like pronouncing names. That's awesome. Second, the show is awesome. I really like the timing of the podcast, as it usually comes out during my 2-hour train trip home, so thanks for it. Well, we're going to get you all the way home on this one.
Oh,
Stephen. Yeah. And my dilemma, says Stephen, is related to Google Reader. Now, this has to be answered by Taylor, because I never used it. It'll be shut down in a couple weeks, and I've yet to find a good alternative. I see everyone recommends Feedly, but there's something about it that I don't like. I was thinking of using Google Plus or Twitter as my RSS feed, as nowadays everything is posted in every possible site. What do you guys think?
Okay, so when Google announced that they were shutting down Reader, my world shrunk to this little itty-bitty little ball, and poof, it was gone. So
an old TV.
Yes. And I felt awful, because I've been using Google Reader for 6 years. I don't know, since they launched it. I started using it the day they launched it. And I was upset, because, what am I going to do to set this off, to get my news after it's gone? And on July 1st, it will be shut down. One thing I did is I went to Twitter and Google Plus, and I added all the sites that I follow. And I don't strictly rely on those, but I see them throughout the day as I'm on Google Plus and Twitter. So I supplement the holes, the gaps with social media. So I catch stuff as it's going by. But the thing with Feedly is that they're not just using their own service. So they switch to their own feed service. So you sign up for Feedly, and you download the app, and you can sync stuff between all your devices, your computers, and everything, and it works just like Google Reader. The problem is that the interface doesn't look all that great if you want to quickly flick through everything, like a list.
Okay.
Because you get pictures, it's like Flipboard. It's kind of how it is. So it looks nice, but it's not great for a quick, efficient reading, like Google Currents or something like that.
See what you think about some of these, because actually I was just looking at the Twitter feed, which, by the way, I use Twitter as my informal RSS reader. Like, that's basically how I get all my news, is Twitter, because I follow all the news sources that I care about, and I'm always in the feed. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool, look at this. And as I was looking at Twitter just now while you were talking, Taylor, I noticed that BGR has a story on this. Google Reader dies in 2 weeks. Here are all the best alternatives. Hold on. Just to give you a little bit of a list, we have NewsBlur, Feedly, Feedbin, Feed Wrangler, and Feeder, which tells us that not only that there are alternatives, but that people need to get more creative with their app names.
Yes.
Am I right?
But the point I was making is that Feedly has effectively replaced Google Reader, and that is in the back end. So if you use another RSS feed, the chances are they've either switched to Tap2 or Feedly. And with Feedly, you can import your Google Reader account. before July 1st. So you can import all the feeds you followed, and then you download an app like Press. Press is what I use mainly for my RSS feeds now. It looks just like Google Reader, but it's prettier. It's really, really nice. If you've used Reader on iOS, Press is an Android version of that app, basically. And you import your Feedly. So you sign into Feedly in the Press app, and it works just like Google Reader, and it is actually 10 times better. So that's how I supplement, how I've found an alternative. I've basically started using Press and Feedly side by side, and Twitter and Google+. So I'm always getting everything all the time.
Valuable advice. And Taylor, I'm glad you were here to answer it because, as I say, I was not experienced in it. So I hope that was a little bit of a help to you, Stephen, and thank you for writing in. And it seems, though, as though we've cleared out the inbox for now. We still have some older ones sitting in there for when Tony is on the air. And congratulations for Tony's 925 review, which I echo. I think Tony did a good job on that. Yep. So we will have him back on the air. Not to worry, but he's traveling back from London right now, and I'm sure he's just exhausted, or he's renewing his friendship with his friend Jack Daniels. So we will let Tony relax after his hard work. Yeah, let's close it out. What do you say, Taylor? Should we jet
Absolutely.
Here and let give people a break from our voices in their ears?
My lungs hurt.
I want to say, if you've gotten this far, two things. Number one, thank you for your comment on YouTube. Because there's always somebody who says, does everyone listen to all of podcasts ever? And then thank you for that. I'll be replying to you, I'm sure. And secondly, stay tuned for the Galaxy S4 active unboxing, which should happen later this afternoon if it arrives on time. Preemptive thank you to our friends at AT&T for that. But for now...
Yeah, I'll unbox my wallet if you'd like.
That would be great. If you could do that, that would be... Hey, aren't you supposed to be... Where's your gaming console?
It doesn't come till later in July.
Oh, okay. Well, then we'll be hearing from you later then.
Unless you're talking about the Ouya.
I'm not talking about that. I'm
okay.
not. But you know what? I want to talk to you on the BlackBerry Messenger.
Yeah? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, that's it. Yeah. If you're a podcast listener and, email me at michael@pocketnow.com. Send me your PIN, and maybe we'll be BBM friends. Maybe. Because I'm carrying this Q10 as long as I can, and it's a lot of fun. Stay tuned for more coverage on that. But for now, let's get out of here. That's going to do it for this episode of the Pocketnow Weekly. Hey, find us on Twitter. Brandon, who left earlier, is at Brandon Miniman. Taylor is at CasperTech, CasperTek. And as always, you can find me at Captain2Phones. It's Captain, the number 2, Phones. You can also follow Pocketnow officially at Pocketnow on Twitter, as Pocketnow on Facebook and Google+. You can leave us a review on iTunes or Xbox Music, and if you haven't done it, please do, because it helps us get discovered. And while we have wonderful reviews so far, we just don't have enough of them. Please leave us a review if you enjoy the show. And if you don't enjoy the show, please stay quiet. And if you have a topic, question, or a suggestion for the podcast, or you just want to say hello, do what other people do. Email us at podcast@pocketnow.com. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Bye-bye. Oh, I gotta have a sound effect for the thought thread. Now that we have sound effect for listener mail,
You can kick us off with an "Hello, Governor."
I'm not gonna do that.
Taylor, I think you should kick us off with an "Hello, Governor," but as loud as you can muster.
Hello, Governor!
Oh, I just got the London tie-in. I just understood why this is relevant. Okay, yeah, I got it now. All right.
Actually, you're looking into it too much. We're just shouting things that come to mind.
Yeah. I'm blowing my mic out.
I did my best to justify this ridiculous excursion into non-sensory, and then I was torpedoed. Hey,
I got an email this morning from Brandon saying that I was boring on the podcast as well as you, Michael. So I brought something new today. All right, what did you bring? What did you bring?
I didn't say that.
Yeah.
I read between the lines, Brandon.